Quick story, and then we'll chat a bit at the strategic level about franchising. So this little girl was going to school, and she was talking to her teacher about whales. And she was giving this presentation in front of the class, and she decided she'd do it on Jonah and the whale. And in the middle of the presentation, the teacher stopped her, and he said, look, you know, it's physically impossible for a whale to swallow a human, because even though it's a very large mammal, its throat is very small. And the little girl said, yes, but you know, Jonah was swallowed by the whale. The teacher got a little irritated and reiterated that a whale cannot swallow a human, and said, once again, scientifically, it's physically impossible. And so the little girl said, after a couple of moments of thought, she said, well, you know what? When I go to heaven, I'm just going to ask Jonah. And the teacher said, well, what if Jonah's in hell? And she said, well, then you can ask him. What I love about that story is she knew what she believed. And she knew that any further due diligence was just going to reinforce what she knew the truth already was. And so it was over as far as the discussion was concerned with her. Franchising is a method of doing business by which a franchisee is granted the right to offer or sell or distribute the goods or services under a marketing plan or system prescribed in a substantial part by a franchisor. The franchisor, for an initial fee and ongoing royalty, permits the franchisee to use the trademarks, the logos, the service marks, the names, the advertising, and the operating systems. That's definitionally what franchising is. But franchising is, in fact, much more than that. It has made a significant contribution to the American economy by enabling companies to grow faster than limited capital and manpower resources would normally allow, by giving thousands of people a way to create their own business, and I might add, with a greater probability of success. Now that's been an argument through the years about what those metrics are for success, but again, the results speak for themselves. Just to give you one small example, everybody probably knows who White Castle is. They started their business and over 10 or 12 years grew from 27 units to 240 units. But in exactly the same period of time, McDonald's grew from 1 unit to over 12,000 units by using business format franchising. Now, which path do you want to pursue? You know, what is your vision? What's your dream? What's your goal? Today, we have nearly 1 million small businesses that represent about 4% of all small business in America, and we employ roughly 11 million people. That's over 8% of the private sector employment. We'll talk more about that in a moment as it relates to jobs, because it's such a big deal right now in our country. But if you look at the indirect impact of franchising, you're going to find that over 20 million jobs, or nearly 15% of the private sector employment, comes from business format franchising. By the way, that generates $2.3 trillion in our economy, and what most people don't know is that franchising is larger than any other two economic sectors combined in America today. And I think that people don't understand the breadth and depth and scope of what franchising is, because for most folks, we think about the local firehouse sub, you know, or the local Tasti Delight, or the local mailboxes, or the local whatever, and we don't understand quite how these fleas become elephants. We don't make the connection. Now, that's not just true for us as people in the economy and as citizens, it's true for Wall Street. When I sold mailboxes, et cetera, to UPS and tried to get some type of weighted average to value the business, Wall Street had no way of determining what the value of this franchise was. They didn't understand what a pure franchise system was, what a system might be that had a certain percentage of corporate ownership. They didn't know how to value the business, and so the values that came back were laughable. And the reality is that means just recently, within the last 10 years, when Warren Buffett bought Dairy Queen, that's the first time that the street began to recognize what was going on in franchising. When we sold mailboxes to UPS, the eyes went up again, and now more and more, the value in terms of economic input and output is being recognized that business format franchising, businesses and systems generate unbelievable amounts of unlevered free cash flow and value. In fact, if you look on the job side, as we mentioned just a few moments ago, since 1984, every net job in America has come from small business, all of them. And yet, if you step back and begin to think about what you hear the talking heads say on these shows, and I've been on a number of them, they all talk about big business and what it represents, and whether you believe in stimulus or not stimulus, let's stimulate those businesses. One more time, they may provide the fertilizer, but they're not providing the ideas. They're not providing what we'll talk about in just a moment, the heart of the entrepreneur. And again, another comment that I love that was just made a while ago, you know, you have to earn it. If you don't earn it, you don't learn it. And so I laugh sometimes at all the sophisticated think tanks that are out there that are analyzing businesses. And I've spent millions of dollars in my companies doing the same thing, you know, with Accenture and other businesses. But here's the reality. All the due diligence you can do tells you nothing but the history of these businesses. You know what tells you the future? The people. That's you. That's just the same thing applies to our country. The same thing applies to any church or business or profit or nonprofit you're in. It's all about the people in their heart. And that's why franchising, the secret to its success is the success of the people that make it up. What makes franchising a powerful economic engine is that it provides the proven system with the support that monitors that system and keeps it refreshed. And the success of the franchisees, as I was just indicating, is the secret ingredient that fuels the kind of growth that we've been talking about. All right. At the most basic level, one more time, why I was refreshed to just be able to sit and listen, franchising is a relationship. You heard the mayor say that about all things. There is no more synergistic business or relationship concept than business format franchising. That relationship between the franchisor and franchisee is the most intense relationally that exists in business today, and it's the reason why some non-franchising companies that buy franchise businesses screw it up. They don't understand that you can't run them like a C corporation, that you can't make these decisions from your puzzle palace up high here. I'll give you a big-time example of that. It's the reason that Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC are no longer owned by PepsiCo today, because they never understood the relationship between the franchisee and the franchisor. And why today that brand is Yum, and David Novak does understand the relationship between the franchisee and franchisor. All right, there are two types of businesses in franchising, essentially, that exist today. There's some other things out on the peripheral, but product distribution and business format are the two that I've already referenced. The product distribution franchise offers the brand and the name and the right to distribute the product. But if you include the systems needed to operate the business, then that becomes a business format franchise. And by the way, it's the most common type of franchising today. There are nearly 300 industries today that use what I call the elegant economic engine of business format franchising to develop. And these opportunities can range from very small businesses like dog poop collection agencies to hotels, multi-million-dollar franchises. The average, maybe 75–80% of all these concepts have investment levels of roughly $250,000 or less, all in, total. So I've been involved in franchising for almost 30 years. I've had the privilege of growing a number of companies, putting into business, supporting or being responsible for over 10,000 franchisees. And during that period of time, I've had the privilege to observe the courage, the persistence, the vision, and the skill of these real heroes of America as they pursue their dreams and overcome obstacles. Now, make no mistake, again, you have to earn it to learn it. I forgot who told me that one time, but you know, we all want to take a helicopter to the top of the hill. And when we get up there, we see exactly the same vision as the people that had to climb up. But there's a major difference. If you've taken the helicopter up there, you're not going to have the strength to climb the next one. You climb it yourself, and you'll be able to climb to new heights the next time you want to elevate your dream or your vision. You have to earn it to learn it. And franchising is a great vehicle to do that, but it's not a right to success. It's not a guarantee of success. It's a privilege of equal opportunity to do the same thing that the person before you did, no matter how tall or short they are, no matter what color they are, no matter where they came from. All they have to have is the heart, the vision, the courage, the persistence, the desire to pursue their dream.